R&B diva Stephanie Mills, she's up next. Let's talk. What's up, everybody? How you doing out there? Thank you guys for tuning in over here. I am your host, your R&B historian, Peppy, and welcome back. We're talking about R&B diva Stephanie Mills. I don't know. I'm feeling good today. You know, I'm kind of feeling like Danny Simpson coming out of off the elevator. You know what I'm saying, on Video Soul right now. That's how I'm kind of feeling, you know. Yeah, so today is a good day, all right? Whew, so let's just go ahead on and get right into it. We're talking about R&B diva Stephanie Mills, so get Stephanie on the phone. We need to talk. Well, anywho, so the last video we talked about Stephanie Mills' album, Moving in the Right Direction, and hey, her career is definitely moving in the right direction with that, with her debut album. First time listening to it, I'm just going to recap it briefly, not going to stay with you guys long on it. Check out the video for her album, Moving in the Right Direction, or you can check out the video that says Stephanie Mills was given material for Diana Ross is the title of that video. So you can check that out. But when it comes to her first album, okay, I'm going to recap just briefly. What I noticed with her first album is that there was a lot of material on the album that to me looks like it was definitely suited for Diana Ross. And it will be 4 songs on the album, I feel, that fits Diana Ross. And that would be Of All These Things, My Baby's Melody, okay, You Do It To Me, and I Don't Want to Go Back. Those 4 songs screams Diana Ross to me. It does. Especially I Don't Want to Go Back. I like that song. So on this album, I Knew It Was Love and I Don't Want to Go Back are songs on the album that I like. I like Moving in the Right Direction, of course. And so, you know, sometimes I talk about the makings of an R&B diva, right? And I think this would be a good one to talk about as far as the makings of an R&B diva, because we have Stephanie Mills here, right? And I would like to think with that beautiful voice that she has, and then she's coming from where she's coming from, you know, Broadway and all of that, you would just think that the executives, producers, herself, so on and so forth, everyone is just pretty much basically sitting around and saying, you know what, this is I think we got a winning thing here. I think we're going to win, but sometimes it just doesn't always work out that way. Even when you feel like you have the right material, the right songs, the right producer, so on and so forth. But when you put it out in the marketplace, sometimes it just does not do what you think it's going to do. Sometimes, you know, you think people are going to feel it and they just don't. So what I'm noticing about Stephanie Mills, listening to her first album and her second album, is that I absolutely cannot, and I will not bash her material, because listening to these albums, I'm not really cringing. You know, it's not like, oh my gosh, you know, this album is just awful. The songs are not right for her, this, that, and the other, all of that. I think what we have here in Stephanie Mills' case is that we do have great songs. We have a talented singer here, but the two are not mixing well together. And I think it has a lot to do with, possibly, this is just my opinion, but I think it has a lot to do with what? The production and the singer. Okay. That's what I'm thinking is definitely the issue here when it comes to the record moving in the right direction. All right. Not to say that one is bad or and the other is good or both are bad. I'm not saying that at all. I just don't think it's just something that's not meshing well. And I think I have to go back to, is it possible that she's given this material that is suitable for Diana Ross? She's given this, or we're trying to maybe see, let's try to see what songs work and what song doesn't work. Now, go back to my video I was telling you guys about last year with Stephanie Mills when she was discussing, Beyonce and Diana Ross are two different, divas. They're not the same, so on and so forth. Now I can kind of see just by listening to these two albums what Stephanie Mills really meant by this, because it's not entering into my head. I'm sure it's not entering into other people's heads as well. Think about it, because Stephanie Mills is a diva that started out in the 70s. And Diana Ross is there, and Diana Ross is pretty much now like this iconic, diva. She is, with all of the bells and whistles in the attitude to match. Do you understand what I'm saying? Oh, Lord, y'all done made me tired. Let me go say allegedly. Y'all done made me tired. Allegedly, the attitude to match. And don't you think, if you just really think about it, that this makes sense? That when I'm listening to this album and I'm thinking Diana Ross, it's the same way we listen to divas nowadays. And we would say, oh, that sounds like Beyonce. Or it sounds like this. And then we get into the 80s. Oh, this sounds like Shaka. We get into the late 80s, early 90s. Oh, this is Whitney. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because every now and then there's a diva that's, in the higher echelons of, the industry, if you will, the breakout diva. And everybody is kind of trying to get them one of those divas, right? Again, I don't know, Tommy Mottola with Mariah Carey. Who else? LaFace Records had Tony Braxton. Then who is Celine Dion signed to? Then you see what I'm saying? Shania Twain. Like all of these divas, everybody's trying to get one of these divas, and each record company pretty much has one. So that's the same thing with Stephanie Mills right now. So it's safe to say, I'm thinking I'm hitting the mark with this one. So it's safe to say when I say there's material on here that would be great for either Diana Ross, maybe Dionne Warwick, so on and so forth. It just obviously makes sense. And maybe that's what they're trying to capture with this. As well as you also have to think about it. Most people will probably look at it and say, no, I think you're kind of missing it, because there's no way that you can put Diana Ross and Stephanie Mills in the same category. I beg to differ. And maybe people don't look at it because you're looking at aesthetics. We're not looking at aesthetics. We're not looking at, Diana Ross in the hair and the gowns and, you know what I'm saying, and twirling around the stage and all that stuff, like being the diva. Do you understand what I'm saying? Stephanie Mills is not that, she's not that diva. You understand what I'm saying? But when it comes down to material, her voice is that diva, which then goes back to, why is this this mix? It's not working. I feel like it's not working. I feel like it's not working because, all right, here we go. Now we're about to get a little controversial. I understand everybody critiques everything, okay? And I understand that people, can be sensitive with their artistic expression. I'm well aware of that over here. So listen to what I'm saying. Whew. Stephanie Mills is just too authentic, right? It's kind of like if you listen to the video or watch the video that I did with Deatra Hicks. Like, love Deatra. That lady she's out of this world with those vocals, right? But at the same time, it's like she's struggling to make this material hit, right? And it's just kind of really watered down because she is definitely going there. Watch where I'm going with this. So it's not mixing well for her at all. At this moment in time, I'm not so much concerned about a hit with Stephanie in the beginning of her career, listening to these albums. I'm not. And I used to would listen to albums just to hear which one of these is going to be my favorite song so I can get this album out the way. Right? That's how I used to look at it. Now I'm looking at it like, okay, let me go just a tad bit deeper than I usually would. Like, instead of, just being on the surface, at least let me kind of pull pick up some grass, if you will, and let's see, what kind of roots is at least right here. I'm not probably getting deep with it, but enough to say, hey, it's kind of pulling back, picking it up and looking at the roots, trying to figure out like exactly what is this? Oh, this looks like this and this sounds like that. So that's pretty much where I'm going. So she's struggling trying to match this material. Her voice won't allow her to. I think that's where we are with this. It's her voice. It's not. Well, when you think of Diana Ross, yeah, I love you over here, Diana Ross. That last album I did, I think it was some kind of thankful album that I just really love. Like, listen, I'm listening to my Diana Ross. I don't care what nobody say. You understand what I'm saying? Like, and I think the difference with Diana's music, her recordings, is that she can go there if you allow her to go there. But usually she doesn't, right? She doesn't. When I think of Diana Ross, some divas I think about probably would be Barbra Streisand, of course. But to push this up for those of you who just, are pretty much hovering around the 80s and the 90s, or even, current generation, I would probably say, I know she probably going to go, how dare you do this to me, Vanessa Williams. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when I'm thinking, oh gosh, this is not even in my head, but I mean, this is not where I was going. When I think of Vanessa Williams, when I think of Barbra Streisand, when I think of Diana Ross, I'm thinking of some other divas. I'm going to mention them in a minute because now they're in my head now. I'm thinking beauty pageant. That might be a diss, but it's not, because, some of those beauty contestants, they are talented when they're singing. But that's how I'm looking at this material. I'm looking at this material like Stephanie is is presented to her, and she is performing it. But it's almost like beauty pageant talent show. But then one person will probably look at it like, what? Did he just diss me? And I'm like, no, I didn't diss you. Because if you think about where I'm going with this is that there are a lot of people on talent shows and in beauty pageants who really sound great. But it's more like, that's the only thing that I can think of. You get your applause, you get your trophies, you have a promising career, but I'm talking about the material. Do you understand what I'm saying? In the way in which the material is presented. Do you understand? And every now and then, we get Vanessa Williams, we get The Right Stuff, we get Running Back to You, we get Work to Do. You're like, okay, we know you got the goods, Vanessa. Do you understand what I'm saying? All right. I don't know why I went over there when I'm trying to stay over here. So let me focus. So that's where it is. It's like the material is not matching up, okay, for her. So when we get to now this album for the first time, I know, I know how you feel. I understand. It appears to me, since she's now over at Motown. And she's working with Hal and Dave, right? I mean, Hal and Bert. I'm thinking Sam and Dave, Hal and Bert, Bert Bacharach, right? So she's working with them. She's on Motown, and she's working with Bert and David, right? Bert and Hal. Oh, gosh, I know, y'all. Just bear with me. Okay, let me just say their name. Bert Bacharach and Hal David. That's why I said Bert and Dave. Sorry. Bert Bacharach and Hal David. So she's working with them. Now, if you think about this, one more time, winning combination. Hey, this is Stephanie Mills' home. Do you see how she approached home? Do you understand where I'm going with this now? You see how she approached home? Well, everybody loves Stephanie Mills' version of home, even though I like her version on the home album, the 1989 home album. That's my favorite version of home, but I don't dislike the original version. The way it's being presented, the way it's presented, I don't dislike that version. Do you understand? And so that's where they are, and I'm thinking that they're trying to capture that. And they don't. No, not with the next album. And just like a lot of Divas careers, okay, and this now I've been dropped in my head, like I'm just thinking it's starting to, keep going. So let me chill out and relax. It's kind of like most divas when you think that you got it, like this is it, like this is my moment. Like really, Bert Bacharach, I'm working with them. This is gonna work. Hal David, I mean Dionne Warwick, like Motown. Come on, you got this works. But then it doesn't. I give you a prime example. Not picture it. Arista Records, 1991. Jennifer Holliday, I'm on Your Side album. Well, I did have it. But anyway, I'm on Your Side album. You would think with a diva such as Jennifer Holliday being over there on Arista Records at the time, this would work. This is the time. This is the moment. And it does not happen for her the way it should. Why? Because Clive Davis got a lot of stuff going on over there, with the Milli Vanilli, fiasco. We're going to leave it at that. So those things are going on over there. Do you understand where I'm going? So that will be one of those moments where I'm saying like, hey, it looks like it should pop, but it doesn't. I'm thinking about another diva, and hey, it's what it is. Angela, I love you, baby, over here. Angela Winbush will be the same thing when Angela finally, what looks like should have been a great album for her and an opportunity for her over at Elektra Records when she releases her self-titled album, Angela Winbush with the, big hit on that album, Treat You Right. Well, it didn't happen, right? Executives changes happens and it doesn't happen, but this is where I'm going. But then what we find with Angela is that she ends up being signed over there to Island Black Music, right? And you have her husband at the time, the Isley brothers are over there. You have Karen Clark Sheard. You have Drew Hill. Oh, who else is over there? Well, Luke Campbell is over there. Luke Two Live Crew. I think he was over there. I know they had someone like Mona Lisa. I know they had someone like Myron McKinley. I have that guy's album over there. Now that I think about it. You have him, but basically where I'm going with this is that, what's that guy name? Is it Joe? I want to know. Is it Joe? Is Joe over there on Island Music, Black Music? But anyway, do you see these artists' careers are being revived, right? And it doesn't happen for Kelly Price. Thank you. Kelly Price is over there. So do you see the company that she's in at this time? It looks like it should happen. I mean, she's signed, but she doesn't go straight into the studio, so on and so forth. But it just doesn't happen for her, right? And of course, there's no material release. So where I'm going with this, you would think that sometimes the planets, the universe, all of that stuff, God, the Father, Son, the Holy Ghost, all that stuff. You think that, it looked like it's so, you know, everything is aligned, but sometimes, it just doesn't work out. Maybe you make a decision to do this, or someone else leaves, and so on and so forth, and it just doesn't pan out the way you want to. So basically where I'm going with the Stephanie Mills things is that Stephanie Mills has looked like this combination where it should work for her, but it doesn't. So why doesn't it work for her? Well, come to find out that, well, these two guys, all right, Burt Bacharach and Hal David at the time, well, I don't know. Like I said, sometimes, I just do a little dishing out on the dirt on who drop kick who in these R&B streets. And I guess this is a time where I could talk about this. Well, it looks as if these two guys are at odds with each other. And it's more so it looks more, I guess, from a creative financial standpoint, or a financial creative standpoint, or maybe it's a creative financial standpoint. One happens before the other, and they are definitely not seeing eye to eye. So apparently, the way it's been said, okay, is that, let's look at it this way. So in 1973, Bacharach and David wrote the songs for Lost Horizon, a film musical remake of the 1937 dramatic adventure film of the same title. A conflict arose between the two songwriters during the film's production and strained their professional relationship to the point they stopped working together regularly. As Bacharach explained the situation in his 2013 memoir, he grew dissatisfied with the share of the potential film's profits because, in addition to providing the music for the songs, he was also doing underscore music for the film, which he felt he was not being fairly paid for. Bacharach asked David for a larger share of the profits, and David refused to renegotiate. When the film was released, it was poorly received and lost an estimated $9 million. But by that point, Bacharach was refusing to work on additional projects with David. Dionne Warwick, whose lucrative 1971 Warner Brothers Records contract was based on having Bacharach and David as her production team, sued the songwriters because they could not fulfill the terms of their agreement with her, putting her relationship with Warner Brothers Records in jeopardy. David in turn sued Bacharach for abandoning their legal partnership, and the lawsuits among the three parties took years to resolve. Whoa. What does that have to do with Miss Stephanie Mills? I'm glad you asked. Despite the ongoing lawsuits, Bacharach and Warwick reunited in the studio in 1974 to record 3 new Bacharach songs for Warner Brothers, though the songs remained unreleased until 2013. Bacharach and David also reunited briefly in 1975 to write and produce Stephanie Mills' second album for the first time, released by Motown. Following the Stephanie Mills album, the Bacharach and David partnership was effectively over, and both songwriters began working on working with other collaborators. During the 1990s, they briefly reunited on 2 occasions. In 1993, to write a song for a Warwick album, and in 1999 to write 2 songs for the soundtrack of the film Isn't She Great? Bacharach eventually expressed regret over his actions during the Lost Horizon production and wrote in his autobiography, "It was all my fault, and I can't imagine how many great songs I could have written with Hal in the years we were apart. So I now know that on every level, it was a very bad mistake." So there you have it. It happens, ladies and gentlemen. It does. And what happens is this great partnership that should have produced a great album for Stephanie Mills did not happen the way it should have. And I'm here to tell you, with all due respect, listening to the album, I have to say there were parts of this album I'm saying to myself, I don't want to go to sleep, so let me go to the next song. It's what it is. It's not a diss to Stephanie Mills, but it's definitely a diss to who, Hal, and Bert. It definitely is, because now these two are not working, the creative juices are not flowing to the point where they can produce an album that's great for her, let alone Dionne Warwick. So I guess the question in my head would be to Stephanie. Listen, Stephanie, I got a question for you. Stephanie, what was that like working in the studio with them at the time? You know, like they were definitely going through some things. Did you feel it? Like, you know, is this what we doing here? You know, how does this work? The same thing with Shaka Khan. You know, we talked about Shaka Khan. You know, the record executives was like, listen here, Shaka. All right, it's good. Ain't nobody. We happy. Rufus and you got a hit, and I think they got a Grammy Award to boot. But listen here, Shaka, we need a commercial, you know, hit over here, like a commercial album, a successful album, or you're probably in jeopardy of losing your contract. You see? So what is that like? What is that pressure like to be in the studio to work with these two? Now, in my head, I guess I can hear maybe Stephanie or any artist would say, I didn't feel it. Like we went in, we worked, maybe there was some tension, so on and so forth. But you know, for the most part, I was just coming in, working on my second album, and I'm on Motown. I'm very excited about being on Motown, so on and so forth. You know, Diana Ross, Michael Jackson, them, all those people over there, you know, Marvin Gaye, and there I am, you know, working with them. And, you know, I'm just excited. And we went in and we did a record, you know, but they weren't going through their professional, so on and so forth. And, you know, it is what it is. So for the first time, it's the second album by, of course, Stephanie Mills. It was released on the Motown label in 1975. Stay with me. I am about to go somewhere, ladies and gentlemen. So, yeah, I can't get anywhere around it. The only thing I would say about this album, I'm going to say again, Diana Ross. Diana Ross shows up on this album one more time, like in several other songs. She shows up. She shows up on the song "I Took My Strength from You." That's Diana Ross to me. There's another song on the album, "I See You for the First Time." I'm thinking of Diana, and I like this song. It's definitely another Diana song. "Please Let Me Go." I like this song. I like it a lot. Another Diana Ross song, and it works for me. All right. So what I am beginning to wonder one more time is that this is definitely, we're in the beginnings to wonder that you have this diva, this songwriter, singer who's very dominant, and she is definitely commanding attention. I'm talking about Diana Ross, and Diana Ross is the blueprint here. It's the 70s. That's why I don't want to lose anyone. It's the 70s, okay? And so I'm getting this Diana Ross feel all throughout the album. And then I get to a song that I love. Oh gosh, I love this song on this album. And it's called "Loneliness Remembers What Happiness Forgets." Okay? I'm loving this song, Diana Ross. But then I get to the next song. And when I get to this song, I'm saying, oh my gosh, another diva has popped up. Okay. And that would be "This Empty Place." This empty place, when I hear it, oh, it wakes things up. This song wakes the album up to me. And when it starts to move and I'm starting to get ready to groove, a diva name comes up in my head. I'm getting the feel and I'm imagining Gladys Knight and the Pips singing this song. "This Empty Place" is definitely a Gladys Knight and the Pips song. It is. And how ironic is it that in 1987, Stephanie Mills records an album, "If I Were Your Woman," and "If I Were Your Woman" was a song that was originally recorded by Gladys Knight and the Pips. Yeah. Yeah. So here's where I am with Stephanie Mills at this moment in time. Because I'm listening to her music and I'm listening to her voice, and I'm saying to myself, I don't know why this pops in my head. It just does, you guys. I mean, it's my show over here, so I can do it. I can talk about it. Tell me what you think. I'm really interested in knowing what you think. So, since this is her second album, and I'm thinking about the music in her voice, and for whatever reason, do you know, I don't know why Keith Sweat came to my mind. Keith Sweat came to my mind because if I am not mistaken, I think Teddy Riley is the one who suggested that Keith Sweat sings the way he sings. Right? He was like, and I think you need to sound like this when you record. Do you understand where I'm going with that? Like that sound, the one we talking about, everyone is begging, he sounds like he's begging. Well, if I'm not mistaken, when he went in to record the album Make It Last Forever, it was Teddy Riley's suggestion that he sound that way. Okay. Then I thought about Toni Braxton. Well, this music is being presented to Anita Baker. We wrote it with Anita Baker in mind. Toni, you might want to sing this song this way, in this style. This is your style. I could be wrong, but I believe it was Babyface who said, Toni, this is your style of singing. Sing it this way. This style works for you. Boom. There you go. I believe Patti LaBelle, it was recommended by Patti LaBelle, I think when she was going in to record, when she was with Philadelphia International Records. It was someone, I can't remember, I think it was a female, who suggested to Patti LaBelle, Patti, you probably want to smile when you sing. So when we see Patti LaBelle doing all the facial, with the mouth movement, it's purposeful. Like she's doing that intentionally because there's a certain sound that works for her. Do you understand? That it was suggested for her to sing in that style. And what I think is happening with Stephanie Mills is that, okay, this is how we're going to go. Remember in the beginning, I told you guys, I need you to listen to me. The songs, I feel personally, on these two albums are not bad. They're not bad. The songs, it's not like I cringe when I listen to this album. It's not that I cringe when I listen to Stephanie Mills sing them, these songs. No. And then I realized, I said, well, Stephanie is authentic. Like she, how can I put it? She's soulful. Yes, she's very soulful. Oh, there you go. You can tell Stephanie Mills is holding back. Yeah, that's how I would do it. She's holding back. She's singing and she sounds good. But you can tell she needs to go there. And not only do you think she needs to go there, you're saying to yourself, it's not the song, it's the production. It's not even the style, the way, it's when I say production, I mean, you might need to kind of put a little swing in it. You know what I'm saying? Like you need to just put a little swing onto it. You understand? Like I give you a prime example. Somebody somewhere, and I got to find out who the producer was for that song. Somewhere Over the Rainbow. You remember I was telling you guys, I was like, listen here, like, why did they decide with Somewhere Over the Rainbow to make that song upbeat? Like, I like that song the way it is, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Do you understand? They had the right idea. The right idea. They just had the wrong song. Don't do it on that song. Do it on another song. Okay? And that's what's about to happen. Okay? I feel like with the next album that's about to that we will talk about, and that is what is it? What you're gonna do with my loving is what. Yo, I don't know why I was about to start singing. I was about to start singing in Vogue. My loving, you're never gonna get it. I love in Vogue over here too, you guys. So that's what happens. They're about to say all of this material is great. The songs are great. The songs are not slouch at all. Stephanie is not a slouch at all. It's just that we need to kind of tweak some things in the song, tweak some things with Stephanie so we can strike gold. You understand what I'm saying? Now, before we leave here, I have one more thing that I want to say, and I'm glad it came back to me because, guys, I told sometimes I get the moving and I have to slow this bad boy down sometime. Stephanie Mills is on Motown Records. Here's another thing that I feel as if this album just didn't do well. I don't think Motown took it seriously. I hate to say it this way. I really and truly do. But remember what I mentioned to you guys about my Valerie Simpson video? You guys need to check me out more often because I'm bad over here. You know what I'm saying? Check me out. I'm bad over here in a good way. But Valerie Simpson, when she's over there, and I think she released 2 albums, okay? 1971 Exposed and 1972 Valerie Simpson, okay? A self-titled album. You recall what I said about Motown when Holland Dozier and Holland, one of those gentlemen over there, caught wind of Nick and Val, said, "Hey, you guys did that. Hey, you want to come over here and write with us, write for us, for other artists?" Nick and Val was not looked at as being singers. They were looked at as songwriters. Okay. Val did not get the attention she needed when she released those 2 albums. I just feel like it just was not there. Even when you think about the album cover for Stephanie Mills' debut album with Motown, when you look at the album cover, I'm pretty sure I'm not saying it's not a great album cover, but what I'm saying is that I don't think they're trying to glam her up or anything like that. For the most part, it probably was glammed up for, the day in which she was in. But what I'm saying is that they're not, well, let me not say that because I don't know the times. Like she probably was really like on her best diva at the time. But I guess I'm also saying is that I just don't think they took it seriously. I don't think they were taking any solo diva seriously on Motown Records. I just don't. You said what? I know what you're thinking. You're taken aback about that comment because she was like, "Wait a minute, Martha and Vandellas, Gladys Knight. Are you telling me that Motown was not taking these divas seriously?" See, you. Let me clarify. Let me listen to what I'm saying. For the most part, from what I'm gathering, I have to go back and do a little bit more research. But like all of the divas I know there in Motown, they either were in a girl group and they were the lead singers. They were in a band or something and they were the lead singer in the band, but it wasn't like they were this breakout diva for the most part. I know where you're going. You're going back before Diana Ross. I understand what you're doing. So don't do me like that over here. You understand what I'm saying? I know what you're doing. But my point I'm trying to make too is that once Diana Ross got into the picture, no, I don't think so. I love you, Diana, but no, Diana just she was not doing. They weren't focusing on other divas. And so I think this is what happened to Stephanie Mills. I feel like the same thing that happened to Valerie Simpson, you know, is the same thing that happened to Stephanie Mills. It was kind of like, now it was kind of like an afterthought. That's pretty much where I'm going with that. All right. Thank you guys for hanging out with me with this video. I appreciate you guys so much. I'm going to go right into the next video. We're going to talk about Stephanie Mills' album, What You Gonna Do With My Lovin'. Yes, we're going to talk about that one. So if you made it this far in my commentary, I think it's only appropriate for me to say thank you guys so much. Hey, hang out with me, hit the like button, subscribe button, the share button, do all that stuff, leave comments. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And remember, my motto over here is very simple. It's a simple motto. You should be doing this by now. Putting your behind where your heart desires to be, which means if you want to sing, baby, just sing. It doesn't matter where you are. Just go around the house, start singing. Sing in the shower. Then when you get out the shower, sing in the living room. And then when you get out walk out the house, sing as you're walking out the house. Just sing, baby. Just put your behind where your heart desires to be. Do the things that you do, that you like doing, that brings joy to you. You understand? If it's not harming you or your or others, why you're not doing it? It's just simple. Who cares if people support you or not? It's something you like doing. You understand what I'm saying? So put your behind, and I'm not saying behind. I'm talking about that ASS is what I'm saying. Put that where your heart desires to be. Sit there, be there. All right. And also too, whenever I leave my mother's presence, she always says to me, she says, baby, remember, I love you, but God loves you best. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys next video. And until then, you should know what to do by now too. Take care of you. All right. See you next video. What you gonna do with my loving Stephanie Mills? She's coming up next.